All right, welcome everybody to the inaugural TENtalk from the Progressive Coalition. I am Sherry Frost. I am the co-chair of the New Hampshire Progressive Coalition, and we are starting this kickoff with Andru Volinsky, who is one of the New Hampshire Democratic candidates for governor. The way this works is it's a 10-minute talk, max. I'll set my alarm. The first 5 minutes is for the candidate. You can speak about anything that you want. Policy that you feel like isn't getting enough attention, something that you just saw in the news that you're interested in, a question that you never get asked on the campaign trail and wish that you did. And then the next 5 minutes are for me to ask questions. So this is about platform, policy, aspirations, values, and a little bit of fluff. So with that, I'm going to set my alarm for 5 minutes, and Andru gets to talk about anything he wants.
Hey. So thank you, Sherry. Thank you, everyone who will be watching this. I'd like to talk about the rhetoric of the past and how too often Democrats are tied to it, make no effort to break free from it, and that failure has implications in so many aspects of our state policies, in so many aspects of our state government leaders, who we choose, how we choose them. So the rhetoric of the past is that New Hampshire should never adopt a broad-based tax. So let's break that down. First of all, New Hampshire relies more on the local property tax than any other state in the nation, by far. And it's most obvious and most acute when it comes to school funding, because the constitutional right is for a state-funded, not a locally funded public education. But here's where the rhetoric gets us into trouble and really leads us in the wrong direction as Democrats. The most broad-based tax is the property tax. If you live in New Hampshire, you pay the property tax. You pay it directly if you're a homeowner. You pay it indirectly if you lease. If you're a business, you pay twice as much in property taxes as you pay in business taxes. And so by us buying into the idea that we can't do a different form of tax, that really locks us into the status quo. And what does that mean? The status quo means that really wealthy communities, really wealthy people don't pay their fair share. I was asked about this on Jack Heath's radio show debate. Some of you may know Jack Heath. I get along well with him, but he's a hard right, Trump, Sununu, Edelblue, DeVos kind of guy. And he was kind of badgering me about the income tax, which I'm not sure is the best solution to our property tax problem. But I said, let's uncomplicate things. Let's not talk about property taxes or property values. Let's talk about pizza. Pizza in Moulton Borough costs $7.25. In Manchester, it costs $19. In Claremont, it costs $42. Who thinks that's fair? Well, those aren't arbitrary numbers. Those are the property taxes that each of those communities face. And if it's not fair for pricing pizza, how in the world can it be fair for paying for your schools or paying for your other really important municipal services? How does Claremont compete with Moulton Borough or Manchester compete with Portsmouth when the taxes are so high and they raise much, much less? So it affects seniors who are afraid of being forced out of their homes. It affects school children who get really varying quality of education around the state. It affects taxpayers, obviously. Most of the taxpayers I talk to are happy to pay their fair share, but not 2 and 3 and 4 times their fair share. And it affects young families and working families who want to get into homes or want to stay in homes and are being forced out by the property tax. So the way to think about the property tax is that it's like a second mortgage that always goes up and you can never pay it off. and it's always highest in the poorest communities. That's the system we have. So when you have a candidate come to you and say, I'll never talk about a broad-based income tax or sales tax or any change to our system, what they're really saying is we're for the status quo and the hell with you.
And your timing is perfect.
There you go.
Excellent. All right. So this is the part I've been really looking forward to. All right. So my first question is, what's the one thing you like best about where you live? And by that, I mean either your home or your town or your state, whichever you want to answer. Your favorite thing. What do you like best about where you live?
Well, I am sitting in what was one of our daughter's bedrooms before they grew up and moved away. And the way our property is situated, we have a very steep hill out the back of the house. Mm-hmm. That is where I built our barn. And when I sit in this room and do Zoom conferences, I often look out across the yard to the barn, and I'm eye to eye with a goat.
That's a great answer. Okay. What is something that you really like that most people don't?
Wow. I think I have to admit to being a geek. So I like to read geeky books.
Define geeky books?
Atul Gawande wrote the Checklist Manifesto about how to think about systems and make them work.
Okay.
And in it, I don't know if I want to say this publicly, but in it, he cites the Cheesecake Factory, which is a restaurant chain that has this humongous list of items.
It's a book.
Yeah, and they almost always get them right.
Yeah.
And that's because they have a particular process in place. And so I read this. Gawande is a physician who comes to this from a surgeon's perspective. So I read Gwande's book. My wife Amy and I were traveling somewhere on the way home from a long trip, and I saw a Cheesecake Factory. And I said, Amy, I just read this book. Yeah, we need to go to the Cheesecake Factory, because I'd never been, and I couldn't follow quite what Gawande was saying.
There's one in Peabody. We go there every once in a while. Alternately, what is something that you don't like that people usually do?
I don't like talking about myself.
Yeah.
As the candidate, in the interest of transparency, I have to.
It makes it hard, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. I had some struggles as a younger person. My family struggled. I went to a high school in a mill town where the mill failed. There were lots of financial problems. I don't like talking, and I'm the only one in my family to go to college. Mm-hmm. So that set me apart from a lot of my friends, a lot of my family. Wasn't easy. I don't really care to talk about it, but if people are going to vote for me, they have the right to know who I am and what motivates my thinking.
Yep. Okay, let's see what's next. Do you like potatoes?
Do I like potatoes?
You eat potatoes?
I like potatoes.
How do you like your potatoes? Fries, mashed, baked, hash browns, something else?
All of the above.
All of the, okay. Digital or analog clocks?
I'm stuck with digital for the most part, but my wristwatch is always the simplest analog face I can find.
Okay. What is your favorite piece of technology?
Probably this Mac that I'm communicating with you.
I'm really fond of my Macs. Yeah. Yeah, me too. What's your favorite season and why?
Winter. I really like hiking in winter. It's so peaceful. It gives you a different view of the world. You have to be a little better prepared. But it's and it's a little more challenging because of that. But it just is so it's the time to be contemplative when you're out in the wilderness, in the snow, with just a couple of people around you. It's quiet.
Quiet, isn't it? What is something that reliably cheers you up?
My daughter, Molly.
I bet she'd be very happy to hear that. Alternately, what keeps you up at night? Keeping in mind that we're almost out of time. I have one more question for you.
Yeah, I mean, the times we live in, it's multiple level crisis. COVID, economic, healthcare, racial injustice, climate change, all of that.
All connected too. Yep, we can't fix one thing without fixing something else. All right, and my last question for you is, can you juggle?
Actually, I can.
How many?
3. I used to be good enough so that I could eat an apple.
Really?
Yeah, you
Were
know.
you juggling the apple and taking bites?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got worse when I had to get progressive lenses.
Oh, depth perception.
It changed, my perception a little bit.
Okay.
I used to be okay with it.
Terrific. That is what a TENtalk is. You are our first one, and I think it went great. So thank you very much for taking the time with us. And we're very excited to have endorsed you. We think we absolutely made the right choice.
Well, Sherry, I think you're 10 out of 10.
Thank you. All right. Be well,
Yes.
and I'll see you soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.